So this is the question of class 9 science. Okay, this question was asked in first term examination, and the question paper was prepared by the PABSON. Okay, and the question number 20 says, study the given velocity time graph and answer the questions. Velocity time graph is given here, and on x-axis there is time in second, and on y-axis there is the speed or magnitude of velocity in meter per second unit. Okay, and the graph is 0 to a, b, and to c. Okay, and a e is drawn perpendicular to ox, and obviously bd is also perpendicular to ox. And the question to be answered is number A, what is the velocity of vehicle at point A and C? Question B, how long did the vehicle move with uniform velocity? And number C, what is the retardation of the vehicle after point B? What is the retardation of vehicle after point B? Okay, this means while traveling from B to C, we have to calculate retardation of the vehicle. Okay, before answering this question, you have to keep in mind few things. Okay, first of all, let's recap what you studied in class about displacement time graph and velocity time graph. If you understand these two graphs, then you can easily answer the question asked in examination. Okay, such type of question. Okay, first of all, let's discuss displacement time graph. Okay, in motion, you have to study about two types of graph, that is displacement time graph and velocity time graph. First of all, let's discuss about displacement time graph. What does it mean? Okay, in figure you can see here there is a time on x-axis or horizontal axis, and this distance on y-axis or vertical axis. Okay, and displacement time graph is written here, and it indicates the graph A, B, and C. Okay, now let's define what is the displacement time graph actually. Okay, the graph plotted by using value of time taken along x-axis, the graph plotted by using value of time on x-axis or horizontal axis, and magnitude of displacement or distance taken on y-axis is called displacement time graph. Here you can see independent variable is taken along x-axis, dependent variable is taken on y-axis. This means how value of y varies with value of x, or how value of distance varies with value of time. Okay, and the slope of displacement time graph gives velocity of object. From here you can see in graph ABC. Okay, as time goes on, the distance traveled by the object is increasing, and from B it is decreasing to C. And coordinate of point A here is xt1 d1, and coordinates of point B is t2 d2. Okay, and since this is time axis, and the point on time axis corresponding to A is t1, and point corresponding to B on time axis is t2. Okay, so that coordinates of A and B becomes like this. Then you can calculate the velocity of object moving from point A to B. Velocity of object moving from point A to B is given as VAB is equal to difference of distance value at A and B. Okay, here distance value is d1 and d2. Okay, and you have to find out the difference, or you have to subtract d1 from d2 and divided by differences of time value at A and B. Okay, differences of time value on at A and B. Okay, time value is d1 and d2 here. so you have to subtract t1 from t2. Okay, writing this in mathematical form, BAB is B VAB is equal to d2 minus d1 divided by d2, sorry, d2 minus d1 by t2 minus d1. This is equation 1. Okay, this gives the velocity or speed of object while moving from A to B. Okay, if point coordinates are given like this, then you can find out the value of velocity like this. Okay, now there are three possible cases regarding the value of d2 and d1. Okay, for example, if d2 is greater than d1, if d2 is greater than d1, then this difference becomes positive, then object has positive velocity. But if d2 is less than d1, d2 less than d1, any smaller number subtracted by greater number, subtracted from greater number gives negative value, so object has negative velocity. Okay, however, if d2 is equal to d1, if d2 is equal to d1 or d1 is equal to d2, then object has zero velocity or object is at rest. It means if d1 is equal to d2, it means the point P also lies along this line like this, nearly here, then d2 equals d1. In this case, the object is supposed to be at rest, the object is not moving. Time goes on, but distance is not covered by the object. That's why, since distance is not covered by the object, or the location of the object is not changed, or position of the object is not changed with respect to other, then in that case the object is supposed to be at rest. From equation 1, you can say SI unit of velocity is meter per second. You can see d2 and d1 has a unit SI unit meter, and t2 and t1 has a SI unit second. Then SI unit of VAB or velocity or speed becomes meter per second divided by this one symbol. Okay, so displacement time graph, you have to understand this much. Okay, and now let's move on to velocity time graph. What does velocity time graph mean, and how can we understand and calculate acceleration from velocity time graph? Keep in mind that displacement time graph gives velocity of object. Okay, now moving on to velocity time graph. The graph plotted by using value of time taken along x-axis and magnitude of velocity or speed taken along y-axis is called velocity time graph. Same figure I have repeated here, but now the coordinate along y-axis is different. Here the coordinate along x-axis is distance, and here coordinate along or value along x-axis is velocity or speed. Okay, in this case the graph is called velocity time graph, and same coordinate is given here, but here d1 and d2, but here b1 and b2. Here b1 and b2 means velocity of object at A and B. Okay, so acceleration of or slope of velocity time graph gives acceleration and retardation of object. Okay, acceleration and retardation of object. Slope of velocity gives acceleration and retardation. Okay, acceleration of object from point A to B is, this is a please make correction here, this is not B, this is a acceleration, symbol of acceleration AAB. Okay, difference of speed value at A and B, difference of speed value at A and B divided by difference of time value at A and B. In this way you can calculate the acceleration of object while it is moving from A to B. Okay, in mathematical form you can write AB is equal to V2 minus V1 by D2 minus D1. This is equation 1. Okay, regarding to the value of V2 and V1, there are three cases. For example, if V2 is greater than V1, if V2 is greater than V1, smaller number subtracted from bigger number, larger number gives positive number, and in that case the object had acceleration, or this is the positive change of velocity with respect to time. Okay, and this is called acceleration. Okay, in this case the rate of change of velocity of object is called acceleration. Okay, because change of velocity is positive, because the value of velocity in second case or second point is greater, and difference of b2 minus b2 and b1 is positive, in that case object has acceleration. If b2 is less than b1, it means the velocity of object in second point is less. That means while moving from a to b, the velocity of object is decreasing. Okay, in this case from a to b, the velocity of object is obviously increasing. You can see by the graph. But if you consider object moving from b to c, then here as time goes on, the line is going down. Okay, this means velocity of object is decreasing. In that case, b2 at point c is less than b1 at point b. Okay, in that case the object has negative acceleration. Negative acceleration means nothing but the retardation of object. Okay, so retardation is simply the negative rate of change of velocity of object. Negative rate of change of velocity. Okay, in that case b2 minus b1 becomes, or b2 minus b1 gives negative difference. Okay, because you have to subtract larger number from smaller one. In that case it gives negative value. So it results a negative acceleration, which is actually retardation. Okay, and if b2 is equal to b1, okay, this graph doesn't show the case of b2 is equal to b1. For that you have to consider the line parallel to time axis. Okay, in that case b1 is equal to b2 or b2 is equal to b1, then object has zero acceleration, or object is moving with uniform velocity or constant velocity. You can say constant velocity, because if the graph is parallel to time axis, then it seems like this. Okay, and at this point and this point, both the value of velocity is same. Okay, in that case the object is supposed not to have acceleration. From equation 1 we can say SI unit of acceleration is meter per second squared. Okay, here it must be squared. Okay, please notice the value unit written in bracket. Okay, this is how you can understand displacement time graph and velocity time graph. Okay, see, only the value along y-axis is different, but the process of calculating velocity and acceleration is same. Okay, if the displacement time graph is parallel to x-axis, then in that case velocity is 0. And if velocity time graph is parallel to x-axis, in that case acceleration is 0. Okay, when acceleration is 0, the object is moving with constant velocity. But when velocity is 0, the object is supposed to be at rest state or not moving. Okay, in this way you can understand velocity time graph. If you have any confusion with regarding these two topics, then you can drop your queries or question in comment box below. For right now, let's move on to our question. Okay, our question is this one. We have to calculate velocity, uniform time for uniform velocity and retardation. Okay, so this is our figure, and along y-axis there is speed, and along x-axis there is time in second. Okay, and in question number A, we have asked to calculate velocity of vehicle at point A and velocity of vehicle at point C. This means at this point and at this point, what is the velocity of vehicle? Okay, if you draw perpendicular line from A on y-axis, it meets at point where value of velocity is 40 meters per second. Okay, this means if you draw perpendicular line from point A to y-axis, then this perpendicular line meets y-axis at point where the velocity of a vehicle is 40 meters per second. 40 meters per second. And similarly, when you draw perpendicular line from C to y-axis, then the line meets y-axis at the point where the velocity is 0. Okay, this means this line is perpendicular line. Okay, where this meets and y-axis at point 0. This means velocity of a vehicle at C is 0. So you can conclude velocity of vehicle at point A is 40 meters per second, and velocity of vehicle at point C is 0 meters per second. Can you guess the velocity of vehicle at point B? Obviously, it is it appears to be parallel line with the time axis. In that case, what I have told you that if velocity time graph is parallel to time axis, then the object has zero acceleration. In that case, the object is moving with constant velocity. This means if velocity of object or vehicle is at point A is 40 meters per second, then same velocity is for the object when it is at point B. Okay, that means 40 meters per second. So velocity of vehicle at point B is also 40 meters per second. So this is the answer for question number A. Now for question number B, time during which vehicle moves with uniform or constant velocity is equal to what? Okay, I have told you the graph showing constant velocity is AB. Okay, in that case, the velocity of vehicle at A is 40 meters per second and point B is 40 meters per second. If you find out the difference between them, it becomes zero. Difference of velocity is zero. Okay, now look at the corresponding time here. If you draw a perpendicular line from A on x-axis, then it meets x-axis at point here. Okay, and this is E. Okay, and it corresponding value is 20 seconds. And similarly for B, if you draw a perpendicular BD from B on OX x-axis, then it meets x-axis at D, and it corresponds value to 60 seconds. Okay. Similarly, velocity of vehicle at point B is this. The velocity of vehicle at this point is same. It means that vehicle moves with constant velocity from A to B, and corresponding time at A is 20 seconds. I have already told you. Corresponding time at B is 60 seconds. I have already told you. Okay. If you find difference of these two values of time, then you get 40 seconds. Thus, the vehicle moves with constant velocity from A to B for time of 40 seconds. Okay. Answer for question number B is 40 seconds. Okay. Now let's move on to question number C. The question is retardation of vehicle after B. Okay, when vehicle moves from B to C, or the motion of vehicle is represented by B to C, BC, then during this time the retardation of vehicle is what? You can see here when vehicle moves from B to C, the velocity is decreasing. Okay, maximum velocity is 40 degree, and as vehicle goes from B to C, the velocity decreases continuously. Okay, gradually, slowly, you can see. So I have already told you the negative rate of change of velocity is retardation actually. Okay, so you have to find out the change in velocity in negative value. Okay, so from figure you can say velocity of vehicle at B is 40 degree per second, at point B is 46 degree per second, and at point C obviously there is 0 meter per second. At point B 40 meter per second velocity, at point C 0 meter per second. If you find the change in velocity between these 2 points, change in velocity while moving from B to C is BC minus BD, which is 0 meter per second minus 40 meter per second, and this gives minus 40 meter per second. While finding out the change in any value, you have to consider final value first and then second initial. Okay, their initial value is 0, final value is 40, because vehicle moves from B to C. Now retardation, formula for retardation is minus AB. Okay, change in velocity after B and change in time after B. You can see change in velocity is minus 40 meter per second, and change in time is 80 second minus 60 second. You can see at point C the corresponding time is 80 second, at point B corresponding time is 60 second. Okay, if you subtract 60 from 80, you get 20 second, and after dividing you get minus 2 meter per second squared. Thus retardation of vehicle after point B is minus 2 meter per second. Okay, in this way you can calculate retardation from given figure. Okay, you can solve such type problem in this way. First of all, you have to read the question carefully, and if figure is given, you have to observe the figure carefully. Only after that you have to start writing answers. Okay, so that there is minimum chances of occurring mistake. Okay, thank you so much for watching. See you in next video. Okay, keep in touch with us by subscribing the channel, and you can also like and share this video so that other friends also get benefited from it. Thank you so much. Okay, this file is the link for getting the file using this video. You can get it by clicking the link given in the description. Please check the description. Okay, thank you.